Hello, everyone. My name's Hank Suttala,
And I'm Dr. K.
And I'm Jake Cunningham.
and we're here with a very special episode of Holistic Highlights. Welcome, everyone, for part 3 of what has been a very dynamic conversation with all of you on relationships and with our very special guest, Jake Cunningham. And he's coming to us. He's a colleague of Dr. K's. And so why don't you just give us a little bit about your background so people know who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Great. Thank you, Hank. Thank you, Dr. K, for having me on. And my name is Jake Cunningham, and I am a colleague of Dr. K's. My company, White Dove Global, works with practitioners in the holistic and complementary health field to acquire and to get trained and supported in these different frequency-based products and technologies, as well as trainings and support systems. So I offer really the integration of these technologies, but also the support follow-up. So Dr. K and I have worked together for the past few years on some of her modalities that she uses. And she mentioned this amazing show, introduced me to Hank, and I'm here. My background, I studied communications and film in college, then started working actually in this industry. My father helped develop one of the technologies that I use. So I grew up in a small town. Well, it's not that small, depending on where you're from. Boulder, Colorado, home of the Colorado Buffaloes. There in beautiful Boulder. Very liberal, progressive, kind of old now, hippies turned yuppies in world, but a very conscious area. And my parents were into the holistic arts, since I was born. My mom has a health food cooking school. My father still has his White Dove Healing Arts Clinic. So through this, I've been able to be exposed and actually had the opportunity and the environment for me to be conscious and aware of what makes relationships succeed. But almost more importantly, I've seen a lot fail. Including my parents' relationship and their divorce, which always spurred. I didn't tell you this, Dr. K, but I thought of it this morning. That's why I care. Middle child, couple older brothers, older sister, oldest brother, me, my younger brother. So as a middle child, I've always observed and been a focal point of people coming to me. So I've seen what's worked, what hasn't, but that divorce kind of left a chip on all of our shoulders to forever study and be interested in what makes relationships work.
That's a key point, Jake. Yeah.
Because so that's the beginning.
That go through divorces, and then it either has a positive impact or, nothing's, we live in the good or bad, but we create that. But it creates a cause and effect for an individual. Either they never want to get married again, or they have a lot of difficulty finding, a partner. So it goes in different directions, or there's some people that do great. So I'm here to clean that up.
Very good point. And that was me. I mean, I went through the phase of no marriage. I'm okay with that. Bachelor for life. That's okay. I can have fun. But then there was a part of me that always wanted to have that long-term intimacy, and I found that. And so what I want to share with everybody today, which we'll get into, is how I stay on track with that, and how hopefully you can too, and hopefully it can leave some help with you. And I'm really speaking to a lot of the men because I'm reading actually into, from my own experiences, what's worked, what hasn't, but what women are attracted to and what will keep that intimacy alive, and how to get back on track when you may be falling off. So again, this is just a passion hobby of mine, you guys. This is not, I'm not a guru pro. I'm just a simple guy trying to do the best I can. I have a beautiful wife, couple little ones, 2 and 7-year-old, and that's my life. That's what I love. So yet it's okay for those of you who are single to declare that too. And I want to give permission. There's nothing wrong with that. But like we talked about, Dr. K and Hank, before, kind of in the preview, the key ingredient here is intention and consciousness, knowing and awareness, and knowing really what you want first. And I know that's cliche. What do you want? Well, that there's truth to that, because until you really get clarity on that you want to be a bachelor, you want to be okay and being single, or you really want that long-term partnership and intimacy for which you can get the other benefits of the continuous and consistent sexual relationships, the good dialogue, all the fun with that, you're not going to manifest it until you know exactly what you want. So that was important, a realization that I made a long time ago.
And two things. One, just the way that you came about being on the show. Dr. K and Jake were actually talking about relationships, I guess. And here I am messaging Dr. K, what are we going to talk about? And it was just kind of a natural flow of energies. But since you mentioned that you were observing the divorce and that now you're married with kids, one thing that I found in relationships is that when two people get married and then kids come along, there's this effect that happens that it becomes all about the kids, and some of the focus is lost on relationships. And by the time kids are out of the house, or even before they're out of the house, the two people that got married, they're completely different people now, and they don't even know each other. So from your point of view, like having seen it happen with your parents, and now that you're married, have you noticed that? And have you been able to find ways to not allow that to be created in your reality?
Yeah, great question, Hank. And that's exactly where I want to share, and why what I have from my own experiences can help those out there. And maybe it won't, and maybe it can. And I'm not claiming to. Like, if I don't, call me crazy, comment, that's fine. I don't care. But yeah, exactly. Because what I'm gonna share is these 5 different archetypes for which we can get stuck. We can get stuck and not be aware of. So I want to bring awareness to these 5 archetypes that I realized we can get stuck in. And it's actually female and male, but I can only speak behalf on who I am as a male, as a masculine male in my relationship, that I accept and I thrive and I enter into every day. But it's helped keep that passion and fire alive when I need to. But you're right, things have completely changed from the days when I was chasing Lisa around Denver, Colorado. Having her stay up late, sleep in, snuggle, like all that's gone right now. But there's ways to still keep that energy and going, because my whole theory is these secrets are to attract and to keep attraction alive, whether or not you want you want to date multiple people and be that entity. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you define that and you're clear with yourself, and you also express that before you get into bed. Before you cross the line, you know where the line is, you know how to define that, and that's really the difference. Or like myself, and this is why I'm interested in it, and why I'm constantly studying, and why I'm so excited to be here to learn from you both and the listeners of what works for them. But as a long-term relationship guy and somebody who wants to be there for the long run, how do we reinvent ourselves and
how
continue
do you keep it going?
Keep it going.
That's the tricky piece.
That's what it is. And here's something that I realized to answer that great comment, Hank, on what's changed once you're married. Well, we have to both first identify that we're individuals, that we both have our own lives, and that we're going to be disconnected at times through this, but with major decisions along the way. So life on this time frame, we've committed to major decisions: move, where we purchase a house, schools for the kids, lifestyle factors, what kind of foods we eat, things. We are a team, but we also have our own individual lives. So we're on this like path where we are together but individual. And on big decisions, we make conscious choice to act as a partnership and team. And that's kept us going and alive. That has nothing to do with really the sexual attraction element, but in terms of the long-term goal, we've committed to that journey. And we know that. And each day we're consciously choosing that. It's an interesting world, and a great question about when kids come into the play, there's no time for the intimacy. How do people handle that? And I have some tips and tricks, but go ahead and comment what are your thoughts on what I just said, you guys?
Well, it's reminiscent of one thing we talked about, I think, on our first stream. One of the access concepts is when in a creationship, I like that word better than relationship, but in a creationship, you empower the other person to be their authentic voice in this world, where a lot of times the archetype marriage is what do I need to sacrifice to make this work versus what could I empower to allow both people to be their own unique voice. And that, I think, is a huge part and is often missed, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think another little anecdote is we're in a time, this is what I got this morning for everybody, is if you are in a relationship, try isn't even a word, you either do it or you do it. Look for the positive things in the person. Why did you get with them to begin with? What it is that you really liked about them? Those things are still there. As we go through time, we start to find blame and point fingers at everything that's going wrong. They're not flushing the toilet right. They're leaving the toilet seat up there. All these little things start to culminate. Take the time to start today to look at the things that you really like about the person, even if it's one thing. Maybe they make a beautiful garden. Maybe they just fill your gas tank up all the time. Try to find the little things that drew you to this person and focus your energy on those things, because it's very easy to go sideways and start to find a blame, especially with things going on right now. People are at home more. I'm hearing all sorts of stories of people just kind of falling apart at home. Start to reinvent and find different ways and find the good things about a person. That will help a lot.
Gratitude.
Lots of gratitude.
Be
Gratitude for
grateful.
everything you have and everything that got you here to this moment, whether it's a good or bad. We say find the bless in the mess. Everything thus far has gotten you to this point. So that's the other download I got this morning. Was I challenge everybody for today, for the next 24 hours, find gratitude for all the things that you do have versus the things that you don't have. That's my 2 cents for today. So
that's a great reminder, and that's
a challenge, everybody.
I'll tell you,
24 hours.
Translating that into any relationship, how many of you love to be around people that are grateful for things versus the opposite? And especially when it's your loved one, when it's that person you want to connect with, and they're living below the line, they're pointing out everything that's wrong, not even with you, but with the world, or whining about politics, whining about friends, about money, about how does that make you feel? Does that make you want to be intimate with them? No one wants to be around that. Now, there's times where you can go down there with your partner and you want to have the freedom to be able to do that, and sometimes whine and piss and moan in that safe environment. That's fine. But that gets to these archetypes and what roles we can identify with and play, so that if we get stuck there, see, the problem is if we're stuck there, we usually will lose that intimacy, that connection. And this is a perfect place for me to get into the lowest archetype, and that is the name. Forgive me with the names; these are just off the cuff. But this guy is, this archetype is really the loser, the creep. This guy and this archetype.
We're working on the names.
Yeah, the name. This one isn't locked in, but this is the lowest of the 5. Okay, this is and let me create some context with this. So there's 5 archetypes. The lowest is least attractive. Now, the scale from low to high is really, there's a correlation of confidence and belief in oneself, right? So there's a direct correlate with happiness. So as you go up, the person tends to be more happy. That's more attractive than someone who's not happy. So the lowest is the creep. This archetype is someone who really doesn't love thyself or anybody else and doesn't care, and mistreats people, mistreats them, verbally abusive, physically abusive. This is the person that really just does not invest in themselves or anybody else. And why that's important for everybody to recognize and know is that we all have that side of us, and we need to recognize that. We need to recognize it. That person really isn't in a relationship. So that's not somebody that is like your partner right now out there, then the listeners. This isn't your boyfriend, your husband, your girlfriend, your wife. This is somebody that hasn't even manifested that. But we want to identify it and be aware of it, because we can become that if we don't pay attention. And there's a lot of other elements and factors with this, and mental health, and different there. So I don't want to get down that. I just want to focus on what these are, and then we can have some fun discussion about it. So next on the attraction scale is Mr. Nice Guy. Mr. Nice Guy. Now, Mr. Nice Guy is somebody that is, well, reliable. So there's good, and there's a positive, and there's a yin and yang. There's positive and negative traits to these. Even Mr. Loser has some positive traits if you need to be protective of your family, your partnership and stuff, to the outside something happening, but very rare. But Mr. Nice Guy, there's pros and cons. So let's look at the cons first. So Mr. Nice Guy is very dependent, right? He will sacrifice his needs for yours, no matter what. Okay? He cancel plans with his friends because you want to go out with yours. He'll also sacrifice any of his ambitions of achieving in the world, or going to strive to get the job, or he'll for yours. Mr. Nice Guy will do everything. He'll also overgive, buy you flowers, take you shopping, pay for everything, nurture, baby, spoil you. Okay. And on the other side, he'll listen. He'll be there for you. He's your best friend.
Yeah.
He's friendship zone. We all have the friendship zone, right? Your best friend's friendship zone. Now, remember what I said, though. You first have to define what you want. So if you want to be a friend with someone, a man hey, you can choose to define that. You can be there. You can unconditionally show up. You can, and as you see the other archetypes, I'll explain that, how you can use this to define for both intimates and professional. So this is about a wider spectrum of topic than just intimacy, sex, and yet you can create that by being aware of this too. So Mr. Nice Guy, another positive is this is someone who's going to be there for you, is reliable, right? This is someone who's going to listen to all your woes and your fears and cries, and that's important in any relationship. So it's not negative. I'm just saying that's the next archetype from the attractive level. But how many of you want to sleep with your best friend or your brother? I hope not a lot. Like you don't do that. Or when you love someone, you really want them so bad, but you don't know how they feel about you, and they say to you, "Gosh, I love you like a sister." Oh, I love you so much like a sister. You're like a sister to me, girl. I love you. What do you mean? I want you. You're telling. So that's that zone, okay? And you can get stuck there. So, but there's also pros and cons to that. Yeah, does that make sense? Am I making sense? Okay. So I'll get through all these, and then we'll open it up because I won't get stuck on any of them. Next is the long-term relationship guy, or like Dr. K and I came up with, the provider. So this
Mr.
guy,
Mom.
Mr. Mom. Mr. Mom.
He's kind of in between there, but
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we'll define him, and then Mr. Mom we'll come back to, because Mr. Mom can be a lot of these, but there's this deep attachment to mom, right? And seems to interfere.
No, that's mommy. That's
Mama's boy.
Mama's boy. Those are two subcategories.
Oh,
there.
Mr. Mom. Oh no, you're right.
Mr.
Yeah,
Mom's the current day. There's so many men right now that are. We had this discussion last week. How Hank and I were talking about how a lot of women are the providers now, and that's completely against the whole societal karmic thing we've had going. It's just shifting. So this is the provider. Sometimes this is a subcategory of having a Mr. Mom who is now not providing for the family. Maybe not. Well, I'll let you describe.
No. You're absolutely right. And just I want to let everybody know this isn't good and bad. There's not a good and bad here. I'm going off of my own experiences of what females are attracted to on a scale, so that you can say, oh, that makes sense. Or no, Jake, you're crazy, pal. That's not even close. And I take into consideration, I talked to an older couple about this a couple of years ago, and they said, Jake, attraction also changes over time, and your needs, the partnership, the best friendship, that grows as more attractive as you. I respect that and get that. than when you're in your 20s and all you want to do is just tap everything around. You know what I mean? There's a difference here. So here's the long-term relationship guy. Pros. Let's talk about the pros. This person provides, has a job. Sometimes that's all that is. They got a job, right? Other times they are able, they're consistent, they're reliable. They're going to be there when Johnny needs to be picked up from school. This person may not be the hottest or sexiest or physically attractive, but you know what? He's going to make sure the mortgage is paid. I'm comfortable and I'm safe, right? There's a safety level with that archetype. And that's something that can also go into workaholic, never around the family, right? Oh, I never see him, but you know what? I have my lifestyle. That's fine. So there's attraction there. There's a, and this I believe goes back to something I know you guys talked about before, back with the primitive, the DNA of attraction. We are somewhat primitive in a way, and this provider, there's a that's like the hunter-gatherer is going to come be able to feed for the family. There's an attraction there, and that makes sense. That makes sense. But you bring up a really good point, Adriana, is Dr. K, is the role reversals. So what you have is these men who are these Mr. Moms who, and they get depressed, they cheat because they feel, they're not honest with that role because it goes against, I think, some of the DNA of our heritage. Now, but you talked about also the women being providers back then and how they manage that. So the negatives, the pros and negatives of that, the negative is the person may be boring, may just flat out be a boring log, bump on a log, doesn't have any passions for themselves, things like this. So long-term relationship guy is that role. There's pros and cons to both, and we all strive to fill that at some time. We need to survive in this society today. Next is on the totem pole of attractiveness is the bad boy. So the bad boy is spontaneous. He's confident to all get out. He can be overconfident. He can be almost just a fool. Yet he doesn't care because he's so confident. He doesn't need you really. He's someone who's spontaneous. He's also someone who is charismatic, funny, and flirts, and can doesn't take life too seriously and is fun. So that's that archetype. Think of it as the rock star, the guy in the Harley. All these kind of stereotypes that are out there. Usually, Mr. Nice Guy comes home and finds bad boy in bed with wifey, meaning like that. Why does that? Nice guys finish last all the time. Well, this is why, and I'm talking from experience, you guys. I've been all of these. I've never been really creep guy. I've always treated people with respect, and I can say that. And if there's any old relationships out there, I hope Lisa doesn't jump on and say that. Lisa's my wife. Jake, you can be a creep sometimes, but I've been all these. And so, but the bad boy, that spontaneity, that fun, that charismatic, that confidence, almost to a fault sometimes, not ego, but cockiness and confidence, that fun side is a part of the attraction of the female to the male, because I believe, this is my theory, that guy's going to go bring back the big buck. That guy's going to go out and sacrifice it all, and who knows? And I'm going to bet on him to bring back more resource. I think there's a deeper component to it, but also it's different. It's fun. Now there's pros and cons to that. Of course, there's all the pros, but there's the cons. This person will not show up to pick up Johnny from school, right? This is like, this guy's not going to be there when you need an intimate heart to heart and to settle down and to pray together and to be into it. No, this he doesn't have time for it. He may not call you for a couple of days. So these are stereotypes. I just want to acknowledge that. But bad boy is something that's an important part of the male masculinity to be aware of with attraction. And I'm going to talk about how you use these very well effectively so you can create the relationship you want. So the top tier, the guy you want to be, and there's a mirror to this with the feminine side, but the person you want to be is the Mr. Right, okay, the knight in shining armor, whoever you want to call that person. And these names, don't please write them down if you want to. This isn't copyrighted or anything. This is my own brain here in my own mind. But Mr. Right, he walks into a room or a relationship, and he comes in with the ultimate confidence in knowing who he is and what he wants, first and foremost. He knows what he wants. So if he meets a very attractive woman, yet he's in a relationship, he can define that relationship. By knowing the scale of attraction, he can actually discern from his conscious choice, which we've been given as human beings, this amazing gift from our Creator, to define and not mix waters. For example, in my life, I have defined what I want out of my relationship is a thriving, happy, and full of laughter, full of love, growing relationship with my wife, so we can be just wonderful pillars for the family. And so that's what I want. That's what I want. And so when I come into a conference and work with people, I am not Mr. Bad Boy. I'm not flirting. I'm not going, I'm not doing the things. I'm not showing up on time, right? These things that are long-term relationship. I've defined myself as a long-term relationship and a Mr. Nice Guy, so I can have that relationship defined at that friendship, at that colleague work level. Okay. Now, but when I find myself as Mr. Nice Guy or long-term relationship where I get stuck a lot of times, and I'm realizing that my wife is stressed, and this answers your original question, Hank, about how do you do this? Like when the kids come, and like many of us, when the families start to grow and there's no time. Well, I have this reference where if we haven't had fun in the last month and a half, or however, I'm able to realize, wait, I have to tap into Bad Boy. I have to be able to tap in to some excitement and fun. And it's not buying a Harley and leaving the kids for a month. No. It's, hey, babe, it's simply, hey, honey, I want you to know on Friday we're going out to dinner. Okay, that's great. Where are we going? Well, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell. What do you mean you're not telling me? What are you doing? No, we got the kid. I've already called your parents. They're taking the kids. So that foresight, that spontaneity, that excitement, that's all those little things take to keep it like, man, this guy is my man. He's thinking of me. I didn't even do anything. All I did is make a plan, created some unknown excitement, and that's one example. Or in the kitchen, going up, tapping her on the rear a little bit and giving her a kiss behind the neck and say, I love you so much. Bad boy. Okay. In a way, bad boy. And that these little things, but hey, baby, I can't wait to see you later. I got to get to work because I got a couple webinars and a client to close and some amazing people to help. A long-term relationship guy. Later, when we're supposed to go out and it gets canceled because her and her friends got in a fight, I listen. I'm okay. No problem. Oh, no, we can reschedule it. Let's just sit in and what's going on? Tell me the deal. Forget dinner. We'll cancel reservations. Mr. Nice Guy, best friend. So the Mr. Right isn't this like perfect being. What he is aware. He's aware of what he wants and where he needs to be at the different times. So it really comes down to an awareness and consciousness, but knowing the skills, knowing how to identify that in oneself, so they're able to change behavior at the different times. And to me, that's the ultimate goal. I'm not perfect. I'm not claiming anybody is. But when it comes to these archetypes, I wish I knew them back in the day, because it would have helped me, one, save hearts from being broken and my heart being broken. And it would have led to healthier relationships all around, which then translates into better intimacy, better sex, better everything in between. So at the end of the day, that's kind of the archetypes. And Hank, what do you think about this? I mean, and am I losing my mind here? Did I just lose everybody? And I want to know what the listeners think. Is Jake crazy, or is there some truth to that? I'd love to know.
Well, with relationships, there's such wide scales. This is like generalities of different areas and whatnot. But one thing that I feel would be worthwhile mentioning is at different stages of our conscious evolution, when you're working only from duality, opposites attract, and when you start to step into your consciousness and you're working from one-ality, like attracts like. So very oftentimes, like that the guy who's no good, I forget the name of it, oftentimes like the empath that is really aware of people who need healing might be attracting the opposite of what they really need. So you get these partnerships that look very odd, but it's like in the duality, you're looking to attract Mr. Right, but you're not really pulling from that place, and you're getting the opposite. We call that the law of opposites and the mechanism of manifestation. But that's only if you're conscious or unconsciously creating. You have the duality coming in and bringing the opposite, where in the one-ality, it's like attracts like. And when you start to be a better self for yourself, now all of a sudden you're getting somebody else that's kind of matching that. So it's important to know those archetypes, how it works if you're manifesting consciously or unconsciously. But we do have Shauna chiming in. She says she loves the archetypes, and the man just deciding and making secret plans is one of those sexiness best ways of creating excitement. And for me, I feel very seen and taken care of. One thing to note though, NLP, they talk about how people have different strategies for receiving information, and you actually covered them all. Like telling someone something and creating the excitement, that's the audio person. They like to be told things.
Yeah, right.
And then coming back and kissing on the back of the neck, that's the person that needs to be shown that they're being affectionate. And another person might be visual. You need to leave them a little love note or bring them flowers and things like that. So like it's also important to see how your partner receives that information, because you could tell them that you love them all day long, but it's never, you're missing each other because she needs to see something.
Yeah, getting to know those love languages and what makes them. But no, well said and beautifully said, Hank, with the I love the co-creation. Ultimately, that's what it's about. And I find that it's not about finding like this destination of perfection and utopia, but the conscious effort from two parties to continue to grow for themselves is what I find keeps a relationship happy and healthy. I want to also address though, and let people know it's okay to identify if you don't want that long-term relationship. I personally feel when you spread yourself and you have sex with many people, you spread your energy too far, you may not be fulfilled. That's my personal belief. And I've been there. I've felt that. It's not something that I feel if you want peace is the answer. That's my own personal opinion. But I want to give permission to people that you don't have to have a long-term relationship, but be true to that, be clear with that, and co-create with someone and open up dialogue before you go down a rabbit hole of, of experiences, so that you can both identify it. Does that always work out? Well, no, because, we're complex. And you'd also acknowledge something, Hank, too. I've totally generalized things. There's so many subcategories and influences. And I mean, to me, it just helps me remind me when I get stuck or vice versa. Like when I'm in work mode and I'm grinding, doing these long hours here, I need to remember to be Mr. Nice Guy more. I need to be, Mr. Nice Guy is not a bad thing, but if I'm only Mr. Nice Guy and I never bounce back to why Lisa was attracted to me in the first place, she was attracted to me because I was a little wild. She was attracted to me because I was wild. I was independent. I had my own business. I was not, and I'm not wildly monetary successful, but I was doing my thing. That's what attracted. If I forget who I was when we met, and you brought up something, Dr. K, which is beautiful. If it was a good idea then to fall in love and to say I do and to marry, commit, why does that change down the road? I think we just it's still a good idea. Someone told me that long ago. Yet but sometimes it's not if you grow apart and you grow away from each other. So anyway.
Well, that comes back to the thing about empowering each other to be themselves versus what can I sacrifice to make this work? What can I empower so we both can create more?
Yeah, I think that's how it has to, I don't like to use the word have to, but when we move forth, maybe this is the theme really, and this is the big takeaway for everybody today, is make it a co-creation, because society has put a lot of boxes around us. You have to get married, you have to have kids, the parents want it. We have to make the legal contract, make it a co-creation and make it fun. And how can you empower the other person to be the best that they can so that they can create cool stuff? And then they can empower you so you can create cool stuff. And so you both can up level at the same time. And yeah, there's so much, there's the whole left side. I don't know if we're going to get to today, the whole female side.
It sounds like there's going to be a part 4.
There might be a part 4. There's a left side of the female. We talked about that, Jake, too, right? Like,
Yeah.
why is the woman attracted to the bad guy all the time? I mean, this happened to me too when I was in my 20s. It's like, this guy's not going to do anything for me. We want the provider. We want the bad guy. I think what I'm hearing is it's about individuality. When somebody loses their individual, people are attracted to somebody. So it comes down to the awareness and the innards. And if you've got chaos on the inside, if you've got unfulfillment on the inside, you're going to keep searching for that on the outside. If you have that energy, what is your energy on the inside? And I know Hank touched upon the duality, and sometimes you track the opposite.
Yeah.
But it does come into what's going on in the inside. If you have some unforgiveness, unfulfillment on the inside, something you haven't parted with, it's very difficult then. You have to close that loop. I have a dear friend, and I think I was telling Jake this, like, she's gone through some things, and the past relationship that kind of ended abruptly and not in the way. She hasn't forgiven that. And I saw right into it when we were talking one day. She's having a very difficult time moving on to the next step and finding the other person, because none of the other people she's meeting are perfect for what she wants, because there's an internal thing, an internal loop, internal work that would be best to clean up, heal up energetically, emotionally, so that you can go on. And I can speak from my own experience undergoing a really long 17-year long relationship that I was always looking to the external to fulfill something in the internal, till one day I said, Adriana, you got to do internal work. The second I started doing that, it took me about a year to a year and a half to clean up a lot of internal stuff. I don't search for things anymore. Like, I am at that point now that I can co-create with somebody, and I'm okay with or without somebody. And that maybe that's not for everybody, but if you need that codependency, you got to look at the codependency. There's a lot of codependency going on in this world.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a couple more comments. And if you're listening and you do have a comment, please make it now, because I know Jake has to go at like 10:45. So I'm going to read through the comments that we have now. If you have a question.
Good. I'm good, Hank, for about up until about 5 till. I'm good.
Okay, so we got a little bit more time, but ask your questions now. But I'll go ahead now. This isn't a question, Mark, or not Mark. I'm about to put Mark's comment up, Jake.
No, that's all right.
but
What's
this,
up, Mark?
he just wanted to say, great info, Jake. You're my new hero. The significant thing about this is he's usually our resident comedian, making wisecracks through the whole show, and he was silent. So that means that means this is a huge compliment of silence up until this point. Him just saying great info, and he has a wisecrack later, which I'll get to. But Shauna was saying, my job, I find as a woman, is trusting his decision making, and when I do that, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mary Lee says, recovery of codependency. When codependence is getting stuck in one archetype, not able to adapt. She was just contributing to the conversation. Now, our first real question, then we'll get to the wisecrack question, Mark. We have, how do you know the difference between acting in your wild versus acting out?
Oh, that's a great question. Is that for, can I answer that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, acting in your wild, I mean, I'm going to interpret that. So versus acting wild externally, it can be also, here's an example I think of acting in your wild is, one of the bad boy party girl, that's the opposite. We'll get to later in terms of the female, because that's what men are attracted to. What I did, everybody, is say what I think women are attracted to based on my experience. We didn't even get into what women are attracted to, but when it comes to that question, the inner wild, part of that would be, one of the huge things about that excitement is that creativity process. And when we don't express that, it could be an internal creativity. It could be creative writing, music, art, an expression, culinary art. That's the one example of your inner wild is taking the time to do that. and that's attractive to men and to women to find. So, for example, when Lisa, I love to write, I love to do video and play with that. When I have a project like that, whether it's a family or business project, my wife actually gets turned on by that. She likes that I'm in my creative element. That's the inner wild, the inside wild. The external acting out would be me going to Vegas with my boys, saying I got to get out for a weekend. Do you understand? And that'd be an expression of external, but the internal is my own creative expression, that own independence and confidence in my art form. Or that's an example for me. I don't know if I answered the question, but that's an example.
I think you were going down on the right road. She was saying that's what I mean. And also I can see when it's attention seeking versus wild and free. And that's where I was going to go with it. When someone's acting out because they have a deep wound and they're projecting that wound outward, that's kind of like acting out versus following what's inspiring you and like being your own authentic voice in this world. And you're just doing what you're doing because that's what's bringing you, or an expression of your joy, I should say, because you already found the joy. The wild side is one way you're expressing that. And I think people are really attracted to that when someone's being their authentic voice. They're just like, that's the real person there. It's not something they're projecting and pretending to be. This is the person. And that it's attractive all around, whether it's a friendship
beautifully
or
beautifully said, Hank. Much more put together than what I said. I mean, but that was my essence. You're absolutely right.
And Shauna, following up with that, how would a woman approach that attention seeking?
Well, here's a glimpse of the archetype. I'm just going to go through quickly what the woman is. So again, confidence, scale of attractiveness, what men are attracted to women, someone who cares for no one, nothing, themselves included. No one's really attracted to that. Unfortunately, we need to support them, lift them up and support them. But as a man, I'm not attracted to that, period. I'm just not. If someone treats their family, their animals, their self like complete disrespect, dishonor, not attracted. Sorry. That's me. I can speak for myself. Next is best friend, sister, listen, nurture, not so much this is someone who will sacrifice everything for yourself, but also listen to your deepest, secrets and hold that in confidence in the whole nine. Best friend. Next, the nurturer, be a great mom. Oh gosh, not really attracted to her, but I know she's going to be a great mom. She's going to, my parents will love her because she's not going to go run around. Next, party girl, right? And this gets to your question, how would a woman do that? Well, part of that in party girls, not just party girl, dress up, go out to the clubs all night, or no. This is someone who's, independent, finding their expression, someone who is confident in their creative force. So a woman would do that really by, for example, taking care of herself, getting to the gym, going on a run, having a hobby, having fun with friends, having some, and friends are a whole nother topic and dynamic, especially between male and female. I get that. But when it comes to having some of your own interests and passions, kind of like we talked about and what we said, that would be the fun, the spontaneous, the joy. That's that archetype there. So finding things, your own passions, maybe hobbies or sports you did as a child, or something you've always wanted to do and learn and study, that type of thing would be a way, an expression of that.
It's finding the internal. It's doing the internal work. And this is, I can just chime in really quick on my own experience. I was that party girl. Then I turned into, I don't want to say the loser creep, but I've gone through a lot of those too.
No.
No, but like needy, being the nice girl. Yeah, I've been through a lot of those too. And I can tell you, it all comes down to when you're able to fine tune all that, it's quite a bit of internal work. How fast somebody's going to go through that and find that is up to the person. So it's bringing it back to self, healing the internal stuff. And then you're going to emanate all these things that Jake is talking about to make you so attractive, like all of those pieces.
And Shauna, she was, that's not quite where she was going. And she wanted me to say this correctly if I do it. I mean, approach the masculine when attention seeking. And then let's see.
That was awesome.
When they are, let's see. Yeah, when they are attention seeking. She was just correcting herself, wanted to respond correctly, but she's meaning more about the like when they're attention seeking. Like, how does the woman approach that? The meaning. Are you, so I assume you're referring to like when someone's acting out, looking for the attention because they're projecting. How would you approach that? Do I have it correct now, Shauna?
How would you like literally like you approach?
Well, I would run, maybe run away. Maybe don't
Yeah,
approach
that's what I was going to say. Run.
bravely run away.
Run! Get out of there.
But at the same time, depending where somebody is with themselves, they may approach that because that might be desirable. Because there's some people that are this wounded healer that wants to help people, and they have this vision because they see the potential of their authentic self expressed, and they're attracted to what they're aware of. But that's not where the person is now, and then it creates this weird dynamic of maybe accepting someone that you wouldn't normally accept. And by the time you then step into your awareness, you're into the marriage. You've already said I do, and now the belief system is it's for life until death do us part. And there isn't the courage or the willingness to now step into your authentic self, where that relationship wouldn't play a role anymore. And that's where we get into the things that when we're unconscious, those are the relationships, because we're recognizing ourselves as a part. The creationship, you're looking at it from the place of oneness, and from that place you're creating together. From the other place, you're just having a separation in a way, because it's just a different dynamic. Let's see.
No, well said. And I think that it's important in any introduction to someone new is to be fearless in expressing where you are in your process, right away, like as quickly as possible. And it's almost, you bring your map of where you're going, what you want, what you think, what some of these core belief systems you have, and you meet them, you meet to see if it's a fit and if it's right, because there's no wrong or right in that. There's no wrong. If I'm single, I'm at a friend's dinner party, or I'm at a bar, I'm at a restaurant, I'm at a game, I'm somewhere socially where we meet. I think it's really important quickly to identify, hey, listen, what are you looking for? Because I'm looking just to date and to screw around and have fun. Are you cool with that? Are you okay with that? Because if you're not, that's okay. And I think from my experiences, and I have never really been that after I decided what I wanted. I want you to know that I learned the hard way in terms of spoiling my girlfriends, right? Buying flowers, bringing them, going out to dinner, doing everything, chauffeuring, shutting down, saying goodbye to my friends because I went to hang out with her and her friends. And eventually she left me because I was such a sap. I would never, I didn't have a spine where I focused on my own interests, passions. Thus, she left the building. And it's not her fault. That was all of me and my growth and learning. And I'm so grateful for that, because now I can identify with that. And that's the whole reason. So, I mean, for the guys out there and the girls, I hope this has at least sparked some, wait a second here. I do fall into that a little more. I can be aware, bring my consciousness, because that's the gift we all have. We can actually co-create and manifest what we want. Yet, if you don't know or have a clue what you want yet, that's where you start. That's where you get to work. And that's where you seek help in partnership. Gosh, Dr. K, Hank, their work, contact these people, you guys, and get grounded in what you want, regarding that next level. And then the skills you can learn. See, this is what's so amazing about the human condition is, we're born with this amazing, yes, we take our past lives and our past traumas from hereditary, all these things, yet we've learned and been programmed these belief systems and these expressions and these fears and these actions. Like we can actually unlearn them and reprogram. And sometimes, you have to fake the confidence or pretend like you don't care, because it actually has nothing to do actually with a physical look. So for those guys out there who say I can never get the girls, it doesn't matter. It's not about that.
I agree with that wholly.
And I will ask you, Dr. K, as a female and a beautiful female out there who can get a lot of guys like attention right away. What's your point on that? Is looks, but looks matter, right? You can tell someone who cares about themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's not about that. It's about how you show up and the energy. But
exactly. Yep.
But in terms
I
of the
agree.
showing up in the masculine, I would just read and be honest with somebody and say, "Hey, are you and also, are you married? Do you, hey, mister, do you have a girlfriend or wife? Right away, because I'm looking for that." And that might scare someone away if you come up and say, "Hey, I'm looking for marriage." I wouldn't recommend that. But you'll get to know them and get to know them quickly on what some of their dreams and goals are. And if someone's into you, they're going to share it. I guarantee. I think with men, be okay with sharing what you want because you'll be respected. And also, I want to just say one more thing on that totem pole of lowest of attraction to highest. There's a direct correlation with confidence, awareness, but also respect for yourself and for the other person. And that, you're less respected as you go down. And it's not and I mean respect by, I don't know. I find that one of the most attractive things for Lisa when she says, when I know she respects me, she trusts me. Like one of our listeners said, when she trusts my decisions, and I feel most powerful, most beautiful thing. So, and vice versa. When I say, "Hey, babe, I trust you. Go. What do you want for dinner? I trust you. Go for it. You got it." But thank you for asking. Those are tiny little things. But go ahead, Hank. I know we're wrapping things up here, and I want to honor everybody some time.
One little final comment, because I think it brings up an opportunity to greatly wrap this up. But Nanette was sharing that her relationship consists of making each other purposely smile and laugh each day, even if one of us is stressed, especially if one of us is stressed. And everybody listening or has listened before, I'm all about being in the question. And the question there that everybody could walk away from is, what energy could I be in my creationship that would create a different possibility and ease? And you just ask that question, and then you can do whatever feels to be in resonance with that question, whether it's making the person laugh or smile, buying flowers. But if you can be in that question of what energy could I be to create a different thing here with ease, and both people are doing that, it's going to create a dynamic that's just going to add fuel and passion and authenticity and potency to the relationship. So that's a great question. And then the second part to that would be, and everything that doesn't allow that, I'm willing to release. Because now you've identified the energy you need to be, you identified the energy that would hold that up, and you're making an acknowledgement to the universe that you're willing to let that go and choose the first thing. So throwing that out there too.
Oh, beautiful. And I commend everybody for listening to this and investing in yourself. And that's what it takes, I think, to define and find that intimacy, that love that you're looking for, is continuing to work on yourself, continuing to grow and evolve and be open to these types of retrainments and learnings. And I really commend everybody for listening if you've made it this far and are interested in this. It's what a treat, what a pleasure. I'm so excited to be a part of this, you guys. I've never done this before in this format. And I'm just
glad
sharing
to have you. It was wonderful having you. And anybody who wants to connect with Mark, his website is whitedoveglobal.com. If you go to that site, you can go and connect with Mark. Why did I say Mark? Because I was just reading his question. And then I said Mark instead.
That's okay. That's all right. Call me Mark. Call me Jake. Call me whatever you want. I don't mind.
But White Dove Global is his website. You can go check that out. And then if you're interested in the clinic coming up, for those of you who aren't aware, Dr. K and I, out of the center in North Olmsted, we do a clinic on the first and third Mondays of every month. You can access that through my website, hanksutala.com, under classes, and then Energy Healing Clinic. You can find it there. I also have the website up on top there. Do you have any events coming up, Jake, that you want to let people know about?
If you're in Vegas, I'm going out to Vegas to do a holistic health for animals.
Right.
I love it. I'm an animal. Right.
It's Bad Boy coming out.
I'm bringing my wife. I'm bringing Lisa. Which is fun because it's a work event. It's a holistic health for animals show. Yeah. My other Lisa. That's right. Yeah, no.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Exactly.
And I got to get one of our comedian comments in. Mark was saying, "How may I turn down my sexiness? The party girls are always hitting on me." No, but in all seriousness, he's saying, "Thank you, Jake. It was wonderful having you
great,
on."
Mark. Well, no, and I just want to honestly say is, food for thought. These are just concepts but keep in mind what I said, and it can really help. It's helped a lot of my friends, a lot of my brothers when they're stuck. I give them a little tune up and tip. And I don't know it all. I'm not claiming to. I just want to encourage you to keep learning, keep growing, and keep tuning into things like this and investing in yourself, because that is the most sexy thing of all. You growing, you taking time to grow and sharpen your saw. Really, really commend everybody for doing this, because it's not easy. I mean, there's so much distraction out there right now.
Yep.
So to do this, it's phenomenal. So.
And something you brought up, a final note, make sure you give yourself permission to be self first. It is different than selfish. Selfish is doing something for yourself at the expense of another. Self first is simply doing something for you that's going to empower you to be more you. And that is everything, something everybody should take away from. Yeah, absolutely. Be as self first as possible. It's like the airplane, right? The masks come down. If you help everybody else first and you pass out, you're of no service to anyone. Be self first.
That is selfish. So important. That's where that's the takeaway that you need to start. And then we teach, we go through the archetypes and because that's how you get to Mr. Right or Mrs. Right.
This one, it could be you, because then you'll track.
Could be you guys. It really can.
All right.
So if you need all of our help, we're here.
And remember, Mr. Right isn't one person. It's one who knows how to be what when needed.
Absolutely. But thank you everyone for watching. And I think there's a part 4 in our future. But we will, until next time, we thank you all for commenting. But be sure to go back and watch the playlist. You can catch all the episodes of Dr. K and me on our YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.